I feel like it kind of would have been more kind of... You're just going to have to go to YouTube to watch that if you are listening.
The podcast you're about to listen to may contain objectionable language, adult and or immature content, mentions of Jesus Christ, and unironic readings of holy Christian scriptures. If any of this is likely to offend you in a manner that you find less than enjoyable, maybe don't listen.
Hi, I'm Pastor Bob Schaefer.
And I'm Pastor Eric Damon. Thanks for joining us.
Welcome to CPTB, which doesn't stand for something that I forgot to look up on my phone beforehand.
It can't stand for that. That's a terrible acronym. I don't even think you understand how acronyms work. There's supposed to be a C.
Are you?
And a B and a T and a B, and something that I forgot to look up on my phone has none of those letters.
I am such an abysmal disappointment.
Oh. Well,
Look,
what the heck
do you
are we
see
doing?
how disappointed our comedians are right now? The shame, the eternal shame.
It's easy to be disappointed in us. We are nothing if not a letdown.
Thanks for joining us for our letdown. The letdown you are about to experience is comedians with pastors talking Bible, and that is the thing that it sounds like. Every single week, Eric and I sit down with a couple of comedians fresh from the Pittsburgh comedy scene to talk about a reading from the Bible.
So what we basically do is bring comedians in to try and salvage the letdown that we are in our task of exegeting the Bible.
Letdown laundering is the entire purpose of this show, yes.
And it works.
Well, it remains to be seen whether this is going to work for me. I might just, continue to endure in my shame.
I mean, I think we've managed to get plenty extra Jesus out of our...
Yes, exegesis.
Right, yeah, good biblical puns there.
And thank you for setting the bar nicely low for both of us as well. It's like, all right, I'm feeling more confident.
I have already bombed, so we can't go any lower than that.
We can try.
Never say that, Bob. Never say that.
In a room full of comics, especially open mic comics, never say the bar cannot get lower.
Ah, okay.
You'll be surprised.
It can always be worse.
So do stand-up comics have like a thing like Macbeth where you don't say the thing? Or is that...
I think open mic comics say all the things,
Yeah.
no matter whether they should or shouldn't.
So there is no superstitious thing that you ought not to say because it's going to jinx the whole thing.
I mean, I don't say good luck, but that's just because I was like a theater kid. I don't know that that's a comedy thing.
A lot of theater kids in comedy. When you
It's
have
an unfortunate overlap.
when you have friends, you're a theater kid. When you don't, you're a comic. That's
Yeah, when you can't sing, dance, or act, that's when you're a comic.
you're a triple threat. Literally, you're threatening to do all three.
I'll do it. If you don't listen to my set at this open mic,
I am going to bust out in song and dance.
it's like you have no idea the notes I will not hit today.
Well, I bet they are probably, C and D and E and F and maybe even an F sharp.
Something sharp.
Thank you for that. Yes, and I appreciate that. I did not deserve it, but this is grace being modeled for us in real time.
And that's what the show is all about.
It is. That and chickens.
But that's really...
And chickens was 2 times ago.
2 times ago.
Because we record every other. It's a thing we do when we're recording. So chickens, you don't even remember chickens if you're listening to this.
Or you're
I
having a
think they do.
flashback right now
Yes,
about the chickens.
I believe the chicken trauma persists.
I was going to try and extend you a lifeline there and say I loved that analogy for improv as extending grace.
Thank you very much, Harriet.
Extending grace as improv. I was like, ooh, I like that.
Thank you. You have brought grace into this, and you brought us Jesus too.
Terrifying Jesus.
We haven't talked about
didn't even
Jesus.
talk about that last time.
He was just there staring
Just
with those
lurking.
eyes.
It is a wonderful gift to me to have fed up, exasperated Jesus. For those who are watching on video, can see it on the table. For those who are not, I have a little about foot tall statue of Jesus looking like he said, "Okay, I've had enough." and it will fit in lovely with my wall of snark in my office. That is a wall entirely of things that make me laugh, that are at least tangentially church related.
But he's not intended to be snarky, is the beautiful thing.
Yeah, he's supposed to be a beautiful objet d'art on someone's shelf. It's supposed to be. I love that he's got a little thing at the bottom that says Da Vinci Collection. And it's like, I don't necessarily believe in ghosts or spirits, but Da Vinci would kick that off the shelf. That is being disavowed. By like,
And it is...
no, I think Da Vinci had that in his wall of snark.
And
Not
it is
this.
kind of... It's bronze, but then it's also got like some silver paint on the bottom there, and he has these piercing blue eyes.
Piercing. Yeah, they're terrifying.
Very much so. I mean, this is like straight out of Dune. I mean, Jesus hanging out on Arrakis is absolutely a thing.
But Jesus on Spice would have fitted in with the last.
He's not saying I've had enough. He's
The
saying,
blue
where
eye,
is
yeah,
the spice?
The spice must
Where
flow.
is it?
So wait, are we saying that Jesus is a character in Dune, or we're just inserting Jesus into Dune canonically?
Yeah,
We're
suddenly,
inserting.
suddenly
Okay.
you've got multiple messiahs on Arrakis, and
And Jesus shows up and it's like, there's too many of us.
I do like the idea of Jesus riding on a sandworm, though.
I think Jesus would be like down for that.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
I never read Dune or watched any of the original Dune movies. So the Timothy Chalamet Dune is my first introduction to Dune,
Same.
which is why the phrase sandworm to me is either Beetlejuice,
Beetlejuice.
the cartoon, or Tremors.
Yep.
Never Dune.
Yeah,
That's
never
not
Dune.
sandworms are a very different thing.
Yeah, unfortunately, Dune is one of those weird rabbit holes for me where, like, I've read them, I watched the old one, Frank Herbert's a crazy man and a genius.
and they only get more insane as you go.
The more that you read, you're like, this can't be what actually was written. And you're like, oh, it was. And then the next one makes that one look very, very mild.
Yes. Paul is so tame compared to Leto.
I was gonna say, but isn't that that's so like the Gospels?
Yeah.
She's doing a wonderful job of
She's keeping us on
salvaging the
track.
letdown that we are. We gave her a job at the beginning and she is doing it.
I feel like she's gunning for my chair here.
It's like after the chicken diversion that I sent us down. I'm like, I have to reclaim something.
This is just like the Bible, right, guys?
There's an analogy. Well done, Harriet. Pat myself on the head.
and that's why you are fast tracked towards Episcopal glory.
That's a deep cut for people who were here last series.
That is. Do you have a hat yet?
Do you know what? I kept your hat that you made me.
Oh, yes.
It's on my like shelf of like cool things. I think I've got a little woolly alpaca that's wearing it.
That's awesome. Did that like kick Crazy Eyed Jesus off the shelf, or
Crazy Eyed Jesus lived in a cupboard because I can't look at him.
I don't think I'd want to look at it
I
either.
was like, he can just stay in the dark. Because he's terrifying.
I feel like his eyes light up in the dark.
And no one wants to be on a work Zoom call with that in the background. Just its eyes boring into the back of your head. It's like,
When I'm in a Zoom call from the church office, usually I'm at my home office, but from the church office, he will absolutely be at the wall of snark that is right behind my computer. People will see Crazy-Eyed Jesus looking at them.
I like Crazy Eyed Jesus better than exasperated Jesus.
He will have a place of prominence there.
That's why you were the right person. And because Bob said immediately no.
Got no place for that in my life.
Bob's like, I'd like that to stay as far away from me as possible.
It does not belong in my office, and Gretchen would kill me if it came to our house.
I bet you also do not have a Jesus hand whistle.
I don't. You do?
That's on my wall of snark. I bought it was a meme that showed a like package of the Jesus with the piercing through it that was a whistle. And and so I saw it as a meme and I said, well, it's in a package, and I Googled it, and somebody on Etsy was actually selling them.
Where
That's
do you
amazing.
blow?
And so you're in like the wrist. It's just a hand and the wrist is cut.
Okay.
And so it's open.
Just a body.
Now
So it's kind of halfway between Jesus and Thing.
The biggest letdown of it was that I did open it and take it out of the package when I got it, and it is not a functioning whistle.
Oh,
Well, then it's
just,
not a whistle.
It's just a rubber hand with a hole through it that looks like it could be a whistle, and has packaging that says Jesus hand whistle with like kids pretending to blow through Jesus, and
Maybe you,
actual
like, blew
Jesus'
down the
hands.
thumb, like,
surely you can mod this thing.
Well,
Yeah, come
I have figured that because it is rubber and stretchy that I could get a little whistle and stick it inside the.
I'm disappointed that you haven't yet. How long have you had this for?
For a couple of years.
Oh, sort it out, Eric.
I have
Come
not
on.
made it functioning yet. It's hanging on my wall in the packaging just for silliness.
I have a little plastic Jesus who's still in his package that has wheels on his feet. So he kind of, like, I think if you were to play with him, he just kind of would glide along.
So if you put him on a mirror, he's walking
Get
on water.
Uh-huh. I think, yeah.
It's like one of the cars you pull him backwards and he goes across.
I used to
would love
love
that.
those. Yes.
Amazing.
We are going to get into scripture at some point in time. We usually do some sort of background. A question I did not do a follow-up question is you had in 2 weeks ago episode, you had said that you were starting to attend a Catholic church again.
Yeah.
What was the impetus to make you decide to do that? Just a random thought, or was
Yeah. I'll be honest. I've tried to answer that question, and I don't know what the answer is. I mean, I feel like the obvious answer is like a friend of mine passed away over the summer who was like very young, and like not something I necessarily like expected to like be there for and like be as present as I was. And I think that, you know, you go through something like that, you're going to be like, there's something. I think there's some, I don't know, you feel called to go look for something else, whether that's just like out of like sadness or like meaning. I don't, you know, whatever it might be. But it's also just like, I think 2025 was just like a really crappy year overall. And I was like, you know what? Whatever we're doing is not working. Clearly. So let's go hear let's go listen to Jesus for a little bit again. He had some good ideas, and yeah, I guess I'm trying to figure out where I fall in, you know, that spectrum of stuff, because like obviously there's a lot of stuff that like I don't super agree with the church about, you know, all the time, but overall like I do like that is where I think like my faith falls. I just don't know where like in the yeah.
Unpack, what do you mean by the spectrum of stuff?
Like, because I grew up Roman Catholic. I went to like a Church of Christ for like most of college. We were like Lutheran very briefly there for like a minute. We went to like a mega church for a while. We did like non-denominational, like generic church that like wasn't a mega church for a while. So like I don't know which of the modalities speaks to me.
So the spectrum is the range of like theological beliefs within the Christian church.
Yeah.
Okay.
And practices too, I would imagine.
Yeah.
Just ways of being church together.
Yeah.
Because spectrum of stuff could be
Yeah,
way wider than that too. We've had guests on whose spectrum of stuff includes like do we slaughter pets or not?
Oh yeah, no, we're
Only the chickens.
we're just wondering what version of Jesus relates most to us.
Which, yeah, I mean, I was when I had become no longer active in the Catholic Church, just no negative experiences, just that real thing people do in their 20s generally. To the dismay of all of my raised not in the church friends to tell me that it did not exist, I referred to myself as an agnostic Christian, and meaning that I don't know what I really believe about Jesus, but I believe in Jesus.
Yeah.
And they would just get upset and say, agnostic doesn't mean that, but it's. I'm like, but it means what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I know.
And so
know what you mean. Yeah.
that I don't really know. You don't know where you're falling, and I think most of the people that are in our pews are like you sitting in the pews at that Catholic church. I think most of the people that actually believe in the full confessions of the Lutheran Church are up in the pulpit preaching.
If that.
Yeah. Well, no, I'm not saying everybody in the pulpit preaching believes in the full confessions. I'm saying the people who believe in the full confessions have ended up in a pulpit with the occasional real diehard old guy that.
I had a diehard old guy who wanted to borrow my Book of Concord, which is the big, thick book of the Lutheran Confessions. And this was like during the 500th anniversary of the Reformation. And so I was like, yeah, he's going to borrow this and he will never read it, but that's okay. I'll get it back. And honest to God, that book came back to me. It was underlined and dog-eared. Wow. And I would have been irritated about my book being underlined and dog-eared, except by God, he read the thing like cover to cover. I didn't do that.
There's a lot in the Book of Concord. If you're not familiar with it, on any pastor's bookshelf, the Book of Concord is one of, if not the largest book on your bookshelf. I mean, it's just there's a whole lot they decided they were going to include in what were the confessions of the church.
Yeah.
And since I was not a cradle Lutheran, I did take very serious in coming into the end of seminary, feeling that you get a lot in it, but the seminary sort of assumed that you brought with you a Lutheran background that I did not. And so I had an independent study. I made an independent study for myself to specifically do that with the Book of Concord. And I still did not read it front to back. I read it in comparative ways of reading the apology versus the actual confession and things like that. Not, I'm just going to start at the front and read to the back and take notes. That's a yeoman's task.
Yeah. I was impressed and aggravated and impressed.
That is, you got to give him your complete Lutheran works now and see if he gets through all of that.
He has, alas, passed on to his reward.
And so he can just talk to Marty about it.
Yes, he now has
just go
access.
direct.
But I imagine that he will at some point ask Marty to borrow some of his books and give them back dog-eared and underlined, and he will get some grade A Lutheran German cussing.
So for those who are not familiar with the Lutheran tradition, Martin Luther was famously a very crass person. I mean, and referred to negatively from the Catholics as that drunken priest.
Oh, I went to Catholic school. We were taught about Martin Luther in a very certain way.
And he was a very crass, rude, to the point of rudeness at times. And if I had a time machine, I would set up a roast battle between Geoffrey Chaucer and Martin Luther. It's just the all-stars of roasting.
I think one of my favorite quotes, although I've never been able to find this, so this may be apocryphal, but it is said that on his deathbed, Luther said, "I am the ripe shit, and the world is the gaping asshole, and thus we shall soon be parted."
Yes.
I hope that's real.
I hope so.
Isn't it kind of lovely?
Yeah. Yeah.
I can't believe they got back together after all that shit between them. talking about my butt cheeks. All right, we're off to a great start on this.
Do I need to step in again and try and go anyway?
No, because I am watching you gunning for this chair over here, the one that Eric will never look at you at.
It's just so I can avoid the death stare.
Yes.
We will get back on task and ask you about, since we spoke about it the first time you were on the show, but your raising in the Episcopal Church.
Not the Episcopal Church.
No,
Anglican.
the Church of
Dum-dum.
England.
Yeah.
It's not even, I would say it's not even Anglican. It's broadly Anglican, but like sub-Anglican.
Yeah. They're all the same to me.
Fight.
Yeah.
So correct me and tell me about your upbringing.
Very kind of loose Church of England upbringing, because I guess it was kind of just seen as the default. I think my dad, I was saying in the break, was caught in kind of by national service, and if you didn't have a defined faith that you wanted to register, they just put C of E. You couldn't have nothing, so they were just like, oh, C of E then. So that's kind of how my family fell into Church of England. And I was a girl guide, so we would go to church for like Remembrance Sunday and Christmas, and I'm the daughter of a frustrated actor, so I could be relied upon to read slowly and clearly. So I was that kid at church. I was always like, she can do difficult words and she can be audible. So stick her up the front and give her a reading.
You used a phrase that I did, girl guide?
Yeah, like Girl Scouts, but the English version.
Okay.
Yeah. Girl
Do they
Guides.
have cookies?
No.
After
then
all
what
of this
good
talk
are
of,
you?
of cakes and scones and stuff, and the Girl Guides
No,
don't have
what's the
cookies?
point? Well, no, we would have biscuits because we're English. And a cookie is a defined thing in England.
But you did have biscuits.
But we did have English biscuits, not American biscuits, which are kind of like scones. Yeah. But I'm looking uncomfortable in my seat because I'm about to commit American blasphemy if I go any further about biscuits and scones and cookies. But no, Girl Guides don't do that. But you do like pledge, kind of do my duty to God. So you kind of pledge to something, even though that's kind of amorphous, and it shifted in the time I was a member to reflect different faiths and different flavors. But I kind of,
it's like a little kid version of AA.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, you have to believe in some
You have to
kind of
pick
higher
some
power.
higher power
Yeah,
and pledge
it doesn't
to
matter what now. But and the Queen, obviously.
The Queen is the higher power?
I mean, to a lot of English people, and the head of the Church of England,
That's true.
because of the Reformation.
That's right.
Everything comes round in a circle.
It does. Chickens.
But yeah, and then I had my atheist phase because I think everyone does. And I don't know where I sit now. I like diagnostic Christian. I'm very lucky to know some cool and groovy Lutherans.
Who are they so that we can meet them?
They're not here. Yeah.
It's
wouldn't
Ellen.
know them. It's Ellen.
It's always Ellen.
It's Ellen.
Ellen, why do you have to be so damn cool?
And yeah, just like being exposed to like all the different flavors and varieties of faith and Christianity in America, some of which seem pretty awesome, some of which scare me a little bit, a lot.
Some in America scare anyone who can be scared.
Yeah.
I mean,
but also, I think some of the work that I do in nonprofits kind of overlaps with ministry. So there's a little bit of how do I process that? How am I present for people? Not Catholic, but was really, really touched by Wake Up Dead Man. The scene in that, I know you talked about it when
my word, that
you suddenly switch out and someone tells you something and you're suddenly like, I have to drop everything and just be in the moment with this person.
No, I mean, I really think for anyone, we're talking about the Knives Out Wake Up Dead Man, and I think we're far enough out from it now that I don't have to give that it's a spoiler alert, but there is a scene in it where he's speaking to a woman and he's exasperated and wants to get to, we're solving a bloody murder here. And she switches and asks him to pray I forget what she asked him to pray for right now.
I think it's a mother.
Yeah, someone. And for anyone who is wondering what the task of being a priest or a pastor is, that is the part of it that is unique to our vocation. A lot of it is we're running an organization and doing things other folks do, but that just always having to be ready that at any moment when you're being silly at a open mic, when you're you're pissed off in line at the store, you might be confronted with a point where you have to just set all of that aside and be there for someone spiritually. And he does it right. I mean, and I think that what it does is it shows the laity a reality of our job, but it also shows because the whole thing is the foil of him against somebody who does the job so wrong. Just a person who just wants to preach about the taking down the evils of the world. And it's to see him confronted with that and meet it well it was such a powerful scene. But I mean, we could do just a whole podcast on that Wake Up Dead
please.
Man.
It's amazing.
It was the Knives Out are just fun things anyway. They kept some of the fun, but they really, you could tell that they were trying to get into some bigger fish to fry with the really showing the aspirations of what the church can do held up against the ways in which it falls short of it a lot. I was really moved by that.
Yeah. I mean, I think just in general, the older I've got, the more okay I am with not knowing everything. And I've left some of that kind of absolute kind of arrogance of youth kind of behind me, and I'm more open to spirituality and just the need for human connection and being there for each other in communities, and that there's love in that, there's faith in that, and kind of that's how I'm kind of finding my way to something.
Let's find our way to something in scriptures.
All right. That's me.
Yep. That is you. Those who have listened to more than one episode know that when we mention scripture, that's Bob's up.
That's my job.
He's going to lend his golden voice to the reading of scripture.
All right. So we are looking at the second Sunday in Lent, March 1st, 2026. And the gospel is a little bit long this week. It is John chapter 3, 17 verses of that. So let's begin. I will ask you to refrain from moaning or groaning or grumbling or scoffing or any of that as I read the gospel, sir.
I promise.
Now, there was a Pharisee named Nicodemus, a leader of the Jews. He came to Jesus by night and said to him, "Rabbi, we know that you are a teacher who has come from God, for no one can do these signs that you do." I guess I didn't say sneezing, did I? Coughing, hacking, wheezing.
Sorry.
Deliberate interruption.
Sorry.
"Rabbi, we know that you are a teacher who has come from God, for no one can do these signs that you do unless God is with that person." Jesus answered him, "Very truly, I tell you, no one can see the kingdom of God without being born from above." Nicodemus said to him, "How can anyone be born after having grown old? Can one enter a second time into the mother's womb and be born?" Jesus answered, "Very truly, I tell you, no one can enter the kingdom of God without being born of water and spirit. What is born of the flesh is flesh, and what is born of the spirit is spirit. Do not be astonished that I said to you, you must be born from above. The wind blows where it chooses, and you hear the sound of it, but you do not know where it comes from or where it goes. So it is with everyone who is born of the Spirit." Nicodemus said to him, "How can these things be?" Jesus answered him, "Are you the teacher of Israel, and yet you do not understand these things? Very truly, I tell you, we speak of what we know and testify to what we have seen, yet you do not receive our testimony. If I have told you about earthly things and you do not believe, how can you believe if I tell you about heavenly things? No one has ascended into heaven except the one who descended from heaven, the Son of Man. And just as Moses was lifted up the serpent in the wilderness, so must the Son of Man be lifted up, that whoever believes in him may have eternal life. For God loved the world so much that he gave his only Son, so that everyone who believes in him may not perish, but may have eternal life. Indeed, God did not send the Son into the world to condemn the world, but in order that the world might be saved through him.
So normally I want to ask you guys a question, but I have to share the first time I ever preached this passage, I was scolded rather seriously from my wife afterward for being gross. And to explain, now, when you do an act out in a joke, you don't plan it, do you? You're living the joke, you're talking it, and you just sort of do things that seem to fit with what you're saying. Yeah. And I was discussing Nicodemus being confused by the idea of being born again. And my act out, I will explain for those on the podcast version, but for those watching on video, my act out was this. For those listening, I parted my hands in front of my face and looked around the room. That's the way I was just living into the place of Nicodemus imagining being a grown man, being born again. And I was, I think rightfully so, told that don't ever do that again.
You could have meant curtains.
Yeah.
Except now you have done it on YouTube.
That I have with appropriate commentary on how wrong that is to don't if it is your first time to preach on this passage, do not act out the process of being born again as an adult.
Do you think anyone but you would?
Yeah, I'm like,
I feel like this is a once in the history of the universe kind of an occurrence.
I think somebody else has done it.
We need to incorporate a little more improv into the church service.
I think why did you stop? Just lean into that.
Can we do a little zip zap zop at the homily? Like,
and was there any reaction from the congregation as they saw your face coming forth from between your hands?
There was not a reaction that I noticed. I got the visceral reaction when we left church, and Sandra told me that don't ever do that again.
This little group of kids in the back going, ew.
It is an interesting earthy sort of a thing, though. I mean, And so,
that is what Nicodemus is thinking about. He's like, Jesus said, you got to be born again. And his first thought was like, how am I supposed to do? I'm big.
You technically had the most biblically accurate act out if possible.
Yeah. I feel like it kind of would have been more kind of. You're just going to have to go to YouTube to watch that if you are listening. We're not going to caption that or describe it for you. But so one of the things that is happening here is that Nicodemus is legitimately confused because Jesus has done a sneaky thing. Jesus he's fond of comedy, and his comedy is punning. He loves wordplay, and he has used an ambiguous word here that is not apparent in English. So he has said that you must be born, and then the Greek word is anothen. And it can have multiple different meanings. It can mean from above, or it can also mean again. And so Nicodemus, upon hearing this word, he's got to make a choice. Now, Jesus just said this thing. What the devil does he mean? Does he mean again or from above? I've seen commentators that have said this is kind of like the expression in English from the top. If something is, you're going to take it from the top, you're going to do it again. But if you take the thing from the top of the shelf, it's a directional thing. So it can have that same sort of either directional or repetitive kind of meaning. And so Nicodemus is kind of set up. And this is one of the ways that we see Jesus teaching, is that he will say something that is kind of ambiguous. And then he will let the person he's talking to make a call of, okay, how do I understand that? And then Jesus engages based on the choice that they have made. And Jesus is apparently stuck dealing with Nicodemus, who is thinking about crawling back into wombs.
I like sassy Jesus, though. He's like, no.
Jesus is frequently sassy,
Yeah.
I feel
Very
like.
much so.
Like, that's what you think, idiot.
All right, we'll go with that. That was one of the possibilities I kind of put out there.
I love that's like one of my favorite things to learn is like how like the translations, like the word, like how like the different meanings of things in the translations like has totally changed, like how certain things get viewed. So I always think that's I like when you throw those tidbits in there.
There was actually another thing that was actually you could see it in the mistake that I made as I was reading that in verse 16, with that verse that everybody knows, for God so loved the world. I as I was reading it, I skipped over the word so. I went, for God loved the world, and then I had to decide, okay, how am I going to redeem this? And I ad-libbed so much, which is one of the ways of translating that. There's debate among translators. Is that word so in Greek, is that intending to convey how much, or is it intending to convey in this way? So there are some translators that will say God loved the world in such a way that he gave his only son. Is it a matter of degree, or is it about this is the kind of love that God shows? There are ambiguities there, and both of them would be legitimate ways to translate, but you have to make a choice. And I did that in real time because I couldn't read.
I've never seen so much embroidered on a pillow.
No, those are like, the contemptible English version. And one of my professors translated the contemporary English version. And so he liked to call it the contemptible English version.
Well, I'm a King James fan.
Yeah, I do. I have failed you by not
I'm
reading.
missing my vows and lows. I'm like, it pains me.
It vexes you.
Vexes me.
It's good to be vexed every now and
Just
then.
occasionally.
Every now and then.
Good vexing.
But that is my groaning before this was if we stopped before 3:16, it would be an easier passage for me to preach. But that passage has been repeated to such saccharine degree that the whole interaction between him and Nicodemus ends up lost in everyone's mind because they heard that, and it's just like it washes out everything else that happened. They're like, oh yeah, God. And you're like, there's actually within that passage, there's a whole lot of pain and tragedy that's about to happen. God gave his only son, he's going to end up being sacrificed. I tend to have an incarnational view of it that it wasn't a necessity for Jesus to be sacrificed, that the atonement happened once Jesus was willing to take the risk of becoming human and then have the risk of being sacrificed. But the story, nonetheless, ends up with this requiring a bloody Jesus. And we are in the middle of Lent, which is the time that liturgically we are not looking at happy saccharine, God so loved the world. We are looking at that God's love for the world ended up requiring of the story a confrontation with the evils of the world.
And now I'm just sitting here wondering what happens if you say bloody Jesus 3 times.
If you haven't turned off the lights and spun around, nothing.
And you're not in the
That
Oh, crazy-eyed Jesus shows up behind you saying, I love the world. Oh, none of that preaches.
Sure it does, just not in your church.
You're gonna You're gonna preach crazy ideas. Is showing. You look like you are about to say something of
Please
value.
say. I don't
Okay.
damn me with maybe it's not going to be of value. But is it just in England where there's a confusion about what a born again Christian means, or is it here too? Because when I was growing up, being born again kind of meant you were a bit hippy dippy and a bit maybe that's just the Church of England prejudice against anything modern and not King James. But it feels like they're a born again Christian. They're probably a bit insufferable.
I remember being in Catholic school and people being like, well, that was probably more just being prejudiced, but there was a level of like, there was a tone of like preachiness on a born again Christian.
So but is there that like a continued confusion to what being born again means?
I mean, for me, I don't know if I'm speaking for the context of the U.S., but for me, it carries a connotation of a very zealous evangelical Christian.
Yep.
And there really is sort of certain sects of Christianity that refer to themselves as born agains, and that is you were rebaptized, you did all of the becoming born again stuff.
Back in the day, there were a lot of Christian merch kind of things that were riffs off of like secular things, so there'd be riffs on Nike branding and riffs on what I really got a kick as a churchy young kid about the one that was a riff off of the Reebok logo. And of course, it said reborn.
Bless.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty clever. I was a dork even back then. I admit it.
I have to admit, I went to early high school was the when the No Fear shirts were big, and I did have a Christian No Fear shirt that like described confronting God at the Judgment Day, and then it said like still no fear in the No Fear logo.
You were so edgy.
Yeah,
so edgy.
and again, though, I still have nothing to preach. I'm going to.
Have you thought about just holding crazy-eyed Jesus up in the front of the microphone and then doing a
voice,
doing a Scott Bright ventriloquist routine?
No, I have not thought about.
I'm
doing
so
that.
Disappointed.
Our
colleague
I'm
Scott
still
Bright
not
is
thinking
a brilliant ventriloquist, by the way.
He is. I am not.
You have to start somewhere.
I don't think the second Sunday of Lent is where I'm going to start with my ventriloquist career.
Time, place, and manner. Okay, well, fair enough. Fair enough. We all looked up at the same time.
I'll throw it back to both of you before Bob and I try and save it with something of value. That will not, and value. Before we try and save it with something that could preach. No, really.
We don't expect you to give anything of value at all in the next 5 minutes.
Bitchy.
I was a little bitchy, but I didn't mean to be. I was trying not to be. I was trying to say that we actually have with us someone who is beginning to try and find something in a church that you're looking for. We have another person who said maybe it's not even in the church, but you're looking to find something. And what in this passage that is so overdone, is there anything in there in this that speaks to what you're looking for?
I thing that stood out to me was that when Jesus is talking about like being born again, he says water and spirit like a couple different times, and like the fact that it needs to say both water and spirit. That's interesting because that makes me think like, oh, well, you have to get baptized, but then you also have to do all of the other work where like the spirit is actually present in your life in the day to day. So that was the one thing that probably I clocked right away. But
yeah, it's like you can do the thing, but you have to live the belief and the faith. Rather, you can be baptized 100 times, but if you're not walking the walk, then you're not gonna and which is hard, which is difficult. It's not
No.
easy until you get to the last two little bits, and it's like, no, it's okay. And you're like, oh, why did you put those there?
And here's a little bit of wordplay again that doesn't come through in the translation, that in Greek and in Hebrew and in Latin too, the word for wind and spirit and breath are all the same word. So when Jesus is telling this little riff about the wind blowing and you don't know which way where it comes from or where it goes, and so it is by all of the people who are led by the Spirit, that same word pneuma is being used there.
And there is, Lutheran understanding of baptism is that God has done all the work in baptism. There isn't we have to then turn around and do something to earn it. God did all the work. Our ability to then live into the call is given to us as a gift by water and spirit in baptism. So it's not you need to be baptized, but then you also have to fulfill your side of the contract sort of way. That's going to fall more into other U.S. denominations that are going to place that burden on you. But I think there is something to that if you're looking to be able to live into it, being born is an important part of living. That's the water and spirit part in baptism. When we are born the first time as little babies, that is the thing that gives us the gift to be able to do everything we're going to do in our life. But you still have a lifetime to do it. Our baptisms, I think we could unpack the same way. They are what make everything possible. We are not earning that life that's given to us in baptism back, but you still do have a whole life to live once you're given it. And by our theology, it's eternal. So you've got a long time to do it.
So for me, one of the things that I think is good news in this, and it's not on the face of it. You have to, look at the context of this story. It's that Nicodemus comes to Jesus as an enemy, or at least as somebody who is hostile. There are all kinds of little cues in this that indicate that he is not necessarily a friendly person seeking authentically to follow Jesus or to know him. And yet, Jesus talks with him, like in a real way. Jesus doesn't blow him off. He doesn't hide. He doesn't avoid him. He receives Nicodemus. He engages him. He lets Nicodemus carry his own part in this encounter by allowing him to make choices and then to allow that to unfold the way it's going to unfold. He treats Nicodemus as somebody who's worthy of his time. And I feel like that is really good news to know that we also approach Jesus at least some of the time as hostile. I do that. I come to him and I'm angry or I'm doubting. I am not necessarily a friendly encounter with the Lord, and he still will receive me, and he will treat me with integrity, and he will try to lead me and to teach me. And we don't know that this doesn't change Nicodemus. We don't. I don't believe we see Nicodemus.
This isn't
again.
like the rich man that we hear that he went away grumbling.
Mm-hmm.
He may have gone away and said, "Well, that made some sense.
He's onto something."
Mm-hmm. I appreciate the graciousness in that. See, we come back, we circle around to the graciousness of the response again. Mm-hmm.
It's interesting that you say that, because that's a thing I notice myself doing sometimes. Like if I'm because I do try to pray every day at least once, and I have noticed myself lately being so God, I know I usually come to you with just a bunch of requests and stuff, sitting here to be grateful. Thanks for and I've tried to get better, maybe not that snarky, but in general tried to be I know I ask a lot, so I'm just going to sit here and be thanks for everything. Just want to make sure we all know that. And I feel like it's been a good practice of just sitting with that gratitude a little bit instead of being everything's going wrong.
It is at least from my personal experience, it is the harder part of prayer. I mean, I pray the matins from the ELW hour hymnal every day, and that's the morning prayers that are spelled out with the specific psalms that you sing, and then there's written prayers, and there's each day you have a part that is the Thanksgiving, and then your request, and they have the listed things you say, and then there's the add other things here. And every day I struggle to find my one thing that I'll add other for the Thanksgivings. And then when it's in the things to ask God for, I'm like, buckle up.
Like,
I got a
list.
long list for you. And we
Actually,
sit
can I
in that
email
one
this
for a
over?
while.
Well, that's the human thing, is it? It's much easier to have to complain about something and come with a list of complaints rather than or a list of requests. Like, why? And turn to prayer when things aren't going so well, and it's like then it's harder to hold that gratitude and reflect that gratitude.
Yeah.
But it is an important thing.
That's one thing. That's one of my New Year's resolutions, is to be a little more grateful. And I have found myself just trying to.
It changes the narrative. I don't know the comedian. It's not a Pittsburgh comic. It's a real TikTok thing I saw. But the joke is, he says, I was prescribed gratitude by my therapist, and he's like, and I wanted to be like, fuck you. But it works, and I hate that even more.
No,
Yeah.
That I can just my brain says you're fucked up, shit is wrong, and I can be like, actually, it's not that bad, and my brain is like, oh, I never thought of it that way.
Yeah, well, it's honestly it's one of the first things that I learned when I started going to AA meetings was I remember somebody just was like, hey, if you're having a rough day, just while you're driving, if you're stressed out, just say a couple things you're grateful for. And I was like, there's no way that works. But that's so stupid. And then the one day I was like, I'll try it. And I was like, I feel a lot better.
I hate this.
Yeah, it's that worked exactly like they said it would.
I am pretty good with the prayers of gratitude, but I also would be lying if I didn't say that, in the last week or so, and this is word for word a prayer that I prayed. God, it would be nice if you bothered to get off your ass and do something. and then I had this moment of, I might have crossed a line there, but no, I decided that that is in keeping with the prayers of lament. How long, O Lord? Rise up, O Lord. Get off your ass and do something, O Lord. These are all the same prayer. I'm just a little bit more contemporary, not quite so elevated King James English.
Well, I'm a big fan of the ending of God on Trial. For those who don't know it, it's the play written about the people in Auschwitz who decided that they had to put God on trial for having not fulfilled his end of the contract. People in Auschwitz. And in it, they go through, they try him, and they find God guilty. And then at the end, after having found God guilty, one of the younger men walks to one of the older men and says, the sun is going down, what do we do? And he says, well, the sun is going down. It's time for evening prayer. Going to God in prayer doesn't necessarily mean that the way God is dealing with the world makes sense to us and even seems just to us. But it is still if you are a person of faith, it is the only reaction you have. Hopefully in times of gratitude too, but definitely in times like Auschwitz, which hopefully is not a prediction for the future.
Way to go. We started with what word do comedians not want to say to
There we go.
jinx?
I think we found
and
it.
theologians don't want to say Auschwitz.
I say it all the time. I'm a big fan of the paraphrase, because I'm forgetting the quote now, but that a theology that cannot be preached to Auschwitz is a false theology.
I like that.
Yeah.
I was going to say something that sounds massively shallow now, but
Please
how
do.
How do you follow that? I'll just get up and leave. But it's an example, and I'm not advocating we always have to yes and people, because sometimes it's just sometimes it has to be a no. But it is an example of Going back to improv. It is yes-anding. It's not denying Nicodemus or any of that. He's going, all right, okay, we'll play.
Yeah.
This is the setting up the arena, and we'll have a little, yeah.
The playfulness of Jesus, I think, is a good place to leave this.
Aren't you a teacher? Don't you know this? I was like, Jesus is trying to meet you where you're at, which I think it's a cool example of like, Jesus is like, I'm not going to get through to you any other way. Yeah. So like, I'll be sassy.
Or like English Jesus would be like, all right, smart ass. Let's.
Yeah.
I like that. All right. So what do you guys have coming up? This is, I'm sure that you are going to be eating a whole lot of fish fry and stuff like that. We are looking at end of February, last week in February, and going into March. What's happening?
I know I did this 2 weeks ago. I will shamelessly plug our third character roast again. We're doing Muppets March Madness on Friday, March 27th at 8 p.m. Funhouse at Mr. Small's. Tickets are on sale already. Hopefully it's sold out by the time this comes out. But please go check and buy tickets if it's not. Please, please, please. It should be really fun. Our last one was a huge success. So, and you might see one of these guys playing a certain Muppet, depending on maybe.
And as of like last recording, I am relatively unbooked and relatively unbusy. So I am hilarious. So I am offering myself for comedy services. You can find me at Harriet Riley Comedy on Instagram. I can do anything from 5 minutes to 45 minutes. So
do you do children's birthday parties?
Children's birthday parties, bar mitzvahs. I do a hilarious funeral.
That's cheating. You can get laughs at a funeral so easy. I mean, it's two people who do funerals regularly.
I got laughs at my dad's funeral. That's a tough crowd. I was like...
Respect.
Yeah.
Lizzie, where do we find you on socials?
At Lizzie Martin on all the things. I need the validation. Please follow me.
Cool. And we are at CPTB Pod. That's at CPTB POD on all the places except Truth Social.
And we need the validation too.
Very much so. We are so needy. You've spent another hour with us. If you happen to be offended by anything that preceded, we're sorry.
No, we are not. You did it to yourselves. You're in trouble.
Well, look, since you're here, why don't you like, subscribe, and share this podcast with somebody you think deserves it?
I don't even have to correct it. That can go both ways. Share it with somebody you think deserves
it. It was very Jesus of me, wasn't it? Double meanings.
Yep.
So I'm flustered. We're going to end with a mistake just like we began. We'll be back in a week with more funny and more God.
Until then, may the Holy Spirit do her thing in your life.